vineyard on the way to school. For the first year, I stayed in Ontario, California. It was 12 miles away. And I drove through that Cucamonga. They said it was the world's largest vineyard. I was back through there last year, and it's Rancho Cucamonga. It's a goddamn town. And they wouldn't have ever, they probably don't even know that just for miles there were these vineyards that.
Well, all that West Covina
Yeah, and
is
now,
now. It's
when
now
I was there, I've been there
towns.
twice, and I haven't seen a lemon, a grapefruit, or an orange tree, and it used to be everywhere.
Well, you come to my house, I've got them everywhere. And Palm Desert,
not,
they're everywhere.
not in that Ontario,
No.
Rialto, all those little towns that jam together. But Ontario, I mean, even in retrospect, Fontana was a nice town. It was small. And it was close to, well, it was an hour from the ocean, 45 minutes to the tallest one in California, I believe, Mount Baldy. Is that the tallest one?
Yeah.
It was from Ontario. It was straight up from there. And I had an MGB,
Oh, really?
a brand new one.
I think we have a picture of it.
That I went to California. I had a brand new MG, no money. I mean, no job, and I left Memphis with $200. But anyway, I lived happily ever after. What was it you asked me right before?
Well,
What's it like? What was it like then?
well, I mean, I really think, because when my family went in 63 or 4.
To that area where I live.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
dad had
You
a
probably
friend.
saw open desert there. There between the highway that I would drive back and I'll say. Anyways, there were. How much would
I've
it
seen
be?
images
Like
of
30
how it was. And
Let's say 5 miles by 25 miles, 125,000 square miles of desert. No, that's not too much. That's too much. Anyway, it was desert, and it belonged to me because I had one of those little Honda trail bikes
Yeah.
that would climb a hill, and
so you were like a
I
bum
go out on
there.
the desert to see the thing. I poach a deer maybe or kill something, snakes. I just liked it. It was open, and it's hard to even picture what it was like. But there was nothing out there,
Yeah.
and now it's city all the way up to where it really starts up.
Developed, yeah.
And all of them, even while I was there, in the 3 years, I saw thousands of acres of trees turn into brown stucco houses.
Yeah.
That, that was when the rape was starting about that time. Come to California and sign up for welfare, and so people.
Well, my
we went.
dad's friend went to California. You know, he had gotten married and had 3 daughters. They were like lined up with my sisters and I, and my parents really socialized with them a lot, and they moved to California. And I remember hearing that and thinking, way out there, because our nation had nowhere near the kind of interconnections of things.
It's a different world. It
Yes.
feels like a different world to me, and I'm connected with
Yes.
everyone on Facebook and
Yeah.
Instagram.
What
and,
about me? What about my mother?
Yes.
From riding horseback to living in the moon, land on the moon. She born 1900,
Yeah.
and saw her first car, I think in probably 1903 or something like that.
Now,
And in that length of time, in 95 years.
and what year did Grandma
And she
Macy
got to-
live in?
And she got
your
to
dad?
vote.
She was born in 1900s. The reason
Well,
I
what?
remember,
And she
Yeah.
got to vote.
And she got to vote. She remembered the Titanic sinking.
She got to vote.
Did she? I never.
She would have been 20.
Well, yeah, surely.
She lived through 2
would've-
world wars. She lived
she
through the
married-
Korean War, the Vietnam War,
Yeah.
and then the Gulf War.
The first Gulf War I'm sorry, the First World War that we were in. When Dad was taken into the army, right?
Yeah.
Away. God, what an experience that must have been. But we never talked about stuff like that. But he came home and.
Was he? They
But
weren't
you
married,
didn't,
though.
when someone lived an hour away by horseback or by buggy, you didn't date. I mean, you got on with it. And so Dad first began to go up on his horse, which is, of course, they named and with loving care talking about it. But Mother was 18 when she graduated from high school, took the test to become a teacher, and went immediately to the next year was teaching school. And there's a photo of her and a bunch of these little kids,
Yeah.
probably all the way from 15 to 5 or whatever you could drop them off at school.
So
And
they,
they-
did they
And then
marry
she
when-
married Dad, and they came down there to the wilderness. It was a wilderness, and my granddad lived a quarter of a mile away, and my dad loaned my grandfather the money to buy his 100 acres of land, to a down payment. They didn't have that kind of money to buy it, but my dad gave my granddad money, and Granddad bought 100 acres, and my dad bought 40 acres. Well, for $12 an acre. And then Dad, he sometimes, well, he bootlegged. He built a still. He bootlegged liquor, but he never really made any money on that. But during
because
the
he drank
college
it all,
days
or?
of the 20s, early 20s, the raccoon coat things,
Yeah.
he would go out, he would hire somebody, and he had a good dog. He'd go out, and the dog would tree these raccoons up in this hollow tree. Well, Dad would put those guys to cut the tree down. And when the tree fell, then he would shoot the raccoon, and they would clean them, and he would sell the pie. Anyway, he managed to always make his payments on the land, even when they had a draft that one year, and they made $200, and that's with the family bunch of kids. We didn't have any money. Neither did our neighbors. We at least, my dad, actually we had less money because he was making payments on our land, where everybody else that I knew were tenant farmers. They had to supply their own horses and harness, but the guy that owned the land gave them a house and probably electricity when it did come in. That would have been the only thing, and it supplied them with a barn and sheds and stuff. And they would they'd give the owner of the land a third and a fourth, but I don't know whether it was a third of the profit from the cotton or from the corn, which way it went, but there was no money, and we had no decent schools, and it's a wonder I have sense enough to come in out of the rain. But when I went in the military, I was smart as any other boy, and most of the kids in my class. I don't know why. They were exceptionally dumb. But when I went in the military, I saw what a dumbass I was. I was ignorant. I wasn't, my brain was fine. There wasn't anything in there. But the guys would be, from California or somewhere, they'd be talking about school and talking about paintings or something, and they'd say, or music, Bach and Brahms and Beethoven, and I'd say, huh? Or they might be saying Van Gogh and I don't know, and I didn't know what the hell they were talking about.
And you wanted that.
Huh?
And you wanted that.
Well, I saw that I was ignorant, and I never stopped going to school, and I don't intend to, but I can't ever catch up. Damn it, that's what how smart could
Can
we have been
anybody,
if
though?
we'd had the money to go to museums and cities and
I feel like the people that have the money to do that shit aren't that smart because
They
everything's
don't
done
even
for them,
appreciate
and they have
it. Yeah,
and they have
I mean,
no
give it-
common sense.
Give it to.
They have no common sense. They have no appreciation for how hard it is to make money. They have no appreciation for other people that are working. I've been working for really wealthy people, and I
Yeah.
have a real bone to pick with
They
that.
don't know what it's like to.
I know, and most of them, that's the Lucky Sperm Club. They had it handed to them. They were born into it. The Lucky Sperm Club.
Yeah.
That's basically it. So wait a minute. So Grandpa Bud was your grandfather, your mom.
Yeah, my father's father, and then
Chancey's
Nanny,
father.
his wife, and granddad. He never worked. He when he was he never worked. He was always able to
Wheel and
pay
deal?
somebody to do the work, and he did. I remember one time that he cultivated. We plowed behind horses
Yeah.
until 1948, and Dad bought an old used tractor. But he was riding on this cultivator for the morning, and then he took sick and went to the house and never went to the field again. But he was Uncle Bud, and when people were running for some sort of little office or something, they always got Uncle Bud on his side because they knew he owned 140 acres of land. And that, that made him wealthy, even though he didn't have any money. None of us did.
I always think of the picture that Mr. Rudy liked so much. That was Uncle Bud and Grandpa Bud and someone else, one of his cronies, were going to go down to Hot Springs to see the races and drink. But then I think the grandmother, someone's wife, weaseled her way into the trip, and she's all buttoned up and very prim and stoic. And there's these two guys that look like they're being scolded. In the pictures, that's the pictures. That's the pictures of them, and she.
Hot Springs was a big deal. It was a big deal.
It was like Vegas.
They had a train that came down, and dropped off the Ultra
That's where
right
El
in town,
Capone-
and they had these big hotels. There's a whole row of them. One of them has been I guess, national.
Yeah, National Historic Monument
Whatever.
or whatever.
It's protected, but you can go in and take the baths and stuff. They set great store by mud baths and things back then, as they still did in Europe when I was there. The pure, big.
the spring water.
Any town with BOD, B-A-D in the front of it. So Bad Kreuznach, where I live, was well known for a place to come. And they planted these reeds that were supposed to soak up the radioactivity, this magic way from the. And then they had big rows of them, 150 yards long, and as tall as
But
that.
they're washing right now, so I'm not rushing you, but let me have some of this crap. Let me break this part.
Let me-
Russian.
let
She's
me,
a white Russian.
Let me get this.
I want to hear more, but I have to go get a
Me
Coke.
too.
Well, I
I
don't
need
even. I think I was about finished with that story.
He'll pick it up.
I would love to hear more about
I would
Grandpa
love to have
Bud.
been in. I realize, you're seeing the natural
about
part.
what?
I realize
Grandpa
your
Bud.
Southern California is the natural environment.
Well, no, the time to have been there would have been in the late 30s when the
when the
the
movies
Okies
were-
went there.
Yeah.
As far as beauty and
Yeah.
the unspoiled.
I just
be out
wanted to
here.
be there in the
But those
60s with the
folks-
Beach Boys and.
Well, he left right before the Beach
Johnny
Boys hit
Rivers
it. Like you left in
and,
'65, right?
Whiskey a
66?
Go Go.
Whiskey a Go Go's still there.
We're getting
Not the same.
2019. Did you see the southern scene?
The what, sweetie?
The scene, the Southern
God,
California
yeah.
scene.
I've been to about somewhere around 50, maybe more, maybe a couple less countries. And I've been to every damn state multiple times.
During that time, the southern scene, the hip scene, the Beach Boys, the surfing. Did you surf?
I left there about the time the Beach Boys were coming along.
Yeah.
But,
Because it was a whole
yeah,
scene.
they had kind of started that surfer music
Yeah.
while I was there. But no,
Did you ever surf?
I tried, but I couldn't. And there now, apparently, the ones that have been, the privileged few that have always lived there, maybe, they don't. If you go out there to try to surf in their turf,
Their property,
according to
yeah.
what I hear, they'll hurt you. So.
It's just I would have loved to surf. And I was a
it would have
kid
been
when-
better if you wanted to see it unspoiled to have gone right soon after the war years, maybe 47, 48. That way it would have recovered. Those people were assimilated pretty quickly, except because you still have the Southern Baptist, a few of
Yeah.
them, and they're still more or less. Well, I've read a couple books about it. It's kind of interesting that when they used to hide the fact that your folks came there that way as a they called them Okies, Arkies, or
Yeah.
that
They put
now
a
they're
dust
kind of
bowl
proud of
on-
it, sort of like the Australians being proud of their
The first time,
conflict.
I kind of like,
parent.
what's his name, that bear, Defender 52? First time he gets a hold of him, he's gonna break something. It's too bad, because he's got all the talent in the world. Ah, see? Somebody else did it. Thank you, man.
Oh, Papa?
Pringles don't give a shit. She's passed the fuck out.